Blazing screens, chaos unfolds, crimson law, tales retold, anime wars, blades collide, justice screams, nowhere to hide. Crimson law, judgment reigns, shock critique, breaking chains, blood red ink, by the blade, true release for silverhead, elven face. Elven face. Neon skies, warriors clash, pixel worlds, honor smashed, battle cries, vengeance near, crimson's wrath, all shall fear. Thunder roars the verdict grim, mechs explode, lights grow dim, bloodlines torn, broken dreams, crimson law silencing screams. As heroes fall and villains rise, shattered dreams and severed ties, stand and fight, the time is nigh, rising up to do what's right. Crimson law, judgment reigns, shock critique, breaking chains, blood red ink, by the blade, truth unleashed for silverhead, elven babes.
Good evening, everyone. How are we doing on this I won't say lovely Saturday because it's kind of been rainy and shitty around here all day, but I mean, I got to have some fun with some video games. I got to watch some good anime. I had to sit through some bad anime, but it's been all right. It's been okay. Didn't end up in doing any videos and stuff just because I don't know, lazy. Gonna try again and get back into producing all that stuff in the upcoming week. I have a couple of things ready that will be releasing next week, so there's that. But I don't know. You spend a lot of time on a project, it doesn't do well. It just kind of kills your motivation sometimes. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So tonight, I mean, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to talk about some of the stuff I've read. We're going to talk about, what everyone voted on last week, which is Spice and Wolf. And then we're going to get into going over what's going to be coming up this week. Or this next week. And then we're going to get into anime ranking. But before that, hello to chat. Hello to Jeremy Turner. Good to see you. And Muffler Tape. I talked to you enough. And I guess with that, we'll go right into talking about, some of the manga and anime and stuff that I have to talk about. So I've been listening to the audiobooks for How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom. And I have really enjoyed these so far. I'm on volume 5 now. And I am not disappointed with the stuff that's happened. I have gotten through the the bridal training stuff and the tokusatsu stuff in the later volumes. So there's that. That's been good. And genuinely, it's just like I feel like the anime did a fair job of adapting the source material. There were obvious cuts and stuff closer to the end that were a little bit frustrating because there was some good stuff in there that just got cut out of the anime. But I'm really enjoying the audiobooks. Had to struggle through a couple of words there also. Hello, Marcel. How you doing? It's a genuinely good story, one that I think deserves far more than a 7.72. Like that feels like a ridiculous score for this series. Like this is really, really well done. So caught a cold. Well, that's unfortunate. I've been all right, just tired, a little bit, like unmotivated lately, but I'm gonna kick my ass into gear and start putting some stuff out. I think next week I have my status as an assassin and One Punch Man are gonna be the ones I'm doing videos on, plus a little bit of a bonus, a midweek bonus off some like random footage that I have that I just feel like putting out there because it's a ridiculous fucking conversation. So maybe that'll be a members only sort of thing. That said, though, there is one other series that I do want to talk about, and this one is slightly more naughty than what we have out of Realist Hero. And this is basically, harem ecchi. Do I still have that chat pulled up? Fuck. It's that time of year we're getting those 30-degree swings morning to afternoon, and everyone has some bug or cough. Yeah. So, basically, the premise here is that like it's an isekai harem anime or manga, but there's a lot of fucking. Like there's a good bit of fucking in this. I believe there are only 4 volumes out, and he's already gotten a chick pregnant. So I mean, he's ahead of most harem protagonists by a long shot. And yes, this is the main girl. She is an absolute barbarian and a sex fiend. So this dude who is like an administrative, like he's like he's in an administrative position, and then like the whole town falls under like this chick's family's domain and everything, and she takes him in, is basically like, I've heard about your skills, I know you're really good, so you're now my husband, and you are basically going to fuck me a lot and help me run my domain. Does not recommend. It's by no means like the most amazing thing out there, but it's got tits. It definitely has tits. So if you're looking for like if you just want some TNA, or like you're just looking for something in the ecchi series, in the ecchi vein, it's okay. It'll do the trick. It definitely has plenty of big jigglies. But that is really about all it will offer you. In terms of like the rest of the story content, it's kind of funny that I had Realist Hero up here because it's very similar to Realist Hero in the fact that it's a world building like series with a harem and all that. It's just, it is a more poorly written, much hornier version of Realist Hero. Hello, JM. I've been watching Orb on the Movement of the Earth. It's fantastic. I liked Orb a lot, but there was a middle section in there where it does a lot of philosophizing around like the nature of God and everything, and I wasn't as interested in that stretch of the story. Sounds pretty fun then. Yeah, and as far as the ecchi manga, so she's the strongest bride, but I'm stronger in night battles, a harem chronicle of advancing through cunning tactics. It's one of those long titled ones. As far as that goes, like, yeah, it's entertaining, but the characters are like very over the top caricatures. They aren't really like amazingly well written or anything. And really the centerpiece of it is, he's basically just he's in this position where like the big titty demon girl is like she likes guys and girls. So he gets the added benefit of it's always a threesome. Except for he's the only guy. That said, though, there's a more important thing to be talking about tonight, and that is Spice and Wolf. So I got to watching Spice and Wolf over the week. Where are we talking about the one? If we're talking about Orb, I'm assuming you're referring to like the Heretic Liberation Front or whatever it was. That's the part I'm talking about. That was my least favorite part of Orb. Because it genuinely felt the weakest. Meanwhile, everything else was pretty solid. But back to Spice and Wolf. So I gave this a 95. I really, really enjoyed this anime. So, and here is generally my review and what I wrote. So, Spice and Wolf is a very interesting anime. It's slow and it's often very drama heavy, but it's all done with a level of competence that makes it a really good story about two people on a long journey together. While with a very small main cast consisting only of Lawrence and Holo themselves, it devotes a lot of time to the various troubles that the two of them encounter on their journey, using a lot of these moments to develop character and build up the relationship between man and Harvest Goddess. That's to say that the main draw of this anime is the characters themselves. Both Holo and Lawrence are well developed and compelling characters, and their personal struggles throughout the series are what I find the most compelling about this narrative. On top of that, the unique way in which some characters speak or conduct themselves helps to add a sense of life and care to them that sometimes gets neglected. They feel fleshed out, and their entire personality shines through. And while most of it is built on the drama and woes of the traveling merchant Lawrence, it has a good romantic subplot that plays a lot more into the story later in the season, complemented by the intertwined arcs of minor characters that help to fill out the plot. It delivers well on what it promises. And while it may not feel like it moves very fast in terms of its pacing, that time is not wasted in the slightest. The story is dense with important elements, and each one is a worthwhile watch. And while lacking in thrill or excitement of while lacking the thrill or excitement of more action-oriented shows, this anime has a powerful intrigue to its story that keeps you hooked. I really ended up enjoying Spice and Wolf. I thought there were a lot of good things, particularly how it has a very narrow main cast and focuses very heavily on just that relationship dynamic between Lawrence and Holo. I thought they did a lot of good work in like the drama department of this, and that normally is something that like frustrates me because a lot of times drama does feel incredibly forced. To me, a lot of times I feel like they just throw it in there for the sake of having it to try and like emulate some character development, and they're not actually developing characters. But in this case, with the things that go down between Holo and Lawrence, I feel like a lot of it actually plays well into the narrative. Yeah, the trading thing is kind of like a background part to it, but I do think that it is an important element to like how all of this plays out. Because oftentimes that like those trading elements are the foundation upon which a lot of the other like character development and drama is based. Especially as you get into like the whole the duel in part 2 of season 1, where like the dude is like raising all the funds and stuff to pay off Holo's debts and everything. Like that, all of that trading stuff was used as the backbone for the entire character development and the progression of their relationship in that. And that's why I say I don't think any of the time in this anime is wasted time. Like, it all ties together really well. It's a very efficient story, and even though it does feel like it can be slow, there was never a point in this where I felt like it wasn't relevant or like I was bored. Like, there was always something happening that had my interest with it. The way it tells its story, the way it conveys information, the way it ties everything into, like, the overall journey that they are on. It also helps that the dynamic between Holo and Lawrence is just amazing, especially because Holo is a great character. I really like her. But it doesn't have the sort of like high highs that a lot of like more action oriented um series will have. It is very, very focused on the drama element and the inter-character dynamic. I also liked a lot of the supporting cast that like comes and goes through this. I kind of get it. Um but like at the same time, I feel like it sets up a good balance of power to where Hollow isn't just, completely destroying everything. I feel like that would have if she had just continued to go scorched earth on everyone every time they ran into minor troubles, it probably would have robbed this story of some of the better, more compelling elements, in my opinion. So it might not be for everyone because of the way it tells its story, but I certainly do enjoy it. But again, with like the supporting cast and everything that comes through, the temporary characters who are only there for an arc and then you move on, I feel like even those are done really well in this series. So all in all, I can't really find any huge problems with the way Spice and Wolf has done its story, because like it's just very effective at what it's done. So with that being said, um I've been hello there, Pilgrim. How we doing? With that being said, we do have one more thing to get to before we go into um this week's anime recap and talking about episodes and everything. And that is this. So, by what looks like a margin of 1 vote, and let me just refresh this to see if anything's changed. Nope. 28 votes on this one. Grand Blue won by a single vote. So next week we will be watching Grand Blue. And now here's the thing I'm debating is as to like whether I want to start taking suggestions now, or whether I want to, save it for the end of the stream as always. But I feel like it would probably be more effective to, start taking some suggestions now. So if you guys are out there in the chat and you have a suggestion you want to put in here, put it in chat what you think should be on this list. And if there are more than 4 entries in I'll keep track of them over the night. If there are more than 4 entries, we will, roll to see which ones go on the list. That is not going on there, you fucking queer. Okay, so we have Asobi Asobase will be set aside. And with that, we will come back to this at the end of the night and put the poll together as you guys, put in some suggestions if there are things you want to put on the list. Otherwise, I'm going to end up filling it out myself. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's do this. So, this is where we left off as of last week. I put in the Crimson anime as a joke, but I ended up just putting Little Miss Vampire down here because reasons. I don't need an entire category that is just a gag, but we'll occasionally redeploy that one. I'll stay out since mine got picked, but Biggles would do Trapped in a Dating Sim. It doesn't matter whether yours got picked or not. Just put some suggestions in there. The whole point is for people in the chat to have a chance to subject me to whatever they want. Keep in mind, though, that it does have to be elected by the rest. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to sit here and be like, oh, well, it was my turn. So therefore, or it was my turn. So I'm just going to sit this one out. Just if you got a suggestion, put it in there. Otherwise, Trapped in a Dating Sim. We'll put that one on the list. So, may I ask for one final thing? I actually enjoyed this latest episode of May I Ask for One Final Thing. So, it starts the episode with, Scarlett's Sunday service moment where she goes into the church and starts whooping ass, basically. She gives these people a holy beating, and they absolutely deserved it. And I'm really glad that it didn't turn out to be one of those situations where it was all a distraction and they were going after, Diana and everything, and they were going to offer while Scarlett was away. Diana's still around, so I appreciate that. That may be a little bit hard to do, but I reckon I could probably pull it off if it's 36 episodes. So if you want to roll with Ascendance of a Bookworm, I guess I can accept that. I feel like 36, though, would be like the absolute limit for me trying to catch up on something within a week. But it gets a little bit more possible. I don't mind having longer series because, again, this is a pretty light season, and I'm actually going to be dropping some of these tonight. So if that's the one you want, we can go with Ascendance of a Bookworm. So right now we have Asobi Asobase, Trapped in a Dating Sim, and Ascendance of a Bookworm on the list. As if more people, I'll vote Bookworm just to make it more difficult. I will get through a bit of an episode recap on this and then go into some more talk. So, in all of the chaos of the first part of this episode, Leo ends up being the one to save Diana, and she is absolutely love struck at the first sight of the guy, and has completely hysterical panic attacks every time she thinks of him. So they get their whole little date thing, and I'm glad for Leo. He deserves someone good for all the stress that he has to go through with this story. Nodoka is still, around doing his thing, acting as a spy and keeping, track of everyone. Um, but really the biggest thing is the half elf guy, the very flirty dude. Um, it kind of, I feel like this might be a red herring, but it kind of makes it seem like he is a traitor. And now that was what I initially thought when I first saw him. Like the sus radar went off. But they're being so blatant with it that it almost feels like it's supposed to be a red herring. But then again, I don't know if if there's any other like good candidate for there to be a traitor amongst them. Insofar as when Terran Netza will be involved in the story again, I'm not sure. I feel like we're probably going to see her more towards like the last couple of episodes, and that will be like her like biggest part in the story, at least in this season. What I particularly liked about this episode, though, was just, I mean, obviously it was really funny to watch Scarlet beat the shit out of a bunch of dudes with their own like holy relics and everything, and just like absolutely body a couple of people. But I got more of a kick out of the fact that Diana just like completely fell in love with Leo and everything, and Scarlet is out there like, you know what? I'll give you your chance. I'll make sure I'll set you up on your date and everything. Don't worry about it. My biggest complaint about on this one is I don't think we're going to get enough episodes before a 2-year plus break. Yeah, probably, but I still do enjoy this anime. I feel like it is a very fun show, one that I do like genuinely enjoy enough to put it at the top slot. Like it's just good. Like straight up good. I've liked the writing of it so far. My only complaints are that when it comes to action, it does skimp a little bit. It does cheap out on it, but it is not the worst thing in terms of action. Like it does still have some pretty solid animation and all that. It looks like Metal Boy is going to be making his return in this up in the future here. But still top anime of the season. Next up on the list would be Ranma and a half. So we get the pervy old man trope in this one. And I honestly got a couple of good laughs out of this latest episode. Like this season of Ranma, I feel like season 2 has actually been more enjoyable to me than season 1 was. But like we get the both of the dad's master shows back up. May I ask for one final thing, have a manga? I'm not sure. That's a good question. It may be worth it to go into the manga. Either way, there were a couple of good laughs out of this, particularly like with the whole woman repellent. that was an interesting thing. The funniest part though was just Akane sleeping. You have the dude who transforms into the pig like is sitting there alongside Ranma watching the old man get the shit beaten out of him. Like, is she always like this? No, actually, this is pretty calm compared to normal. But effectively, the creator of the anything goes fighting style that Ranma practices has returned in spite of his father and his future father-in-law's attempts to kill the man because he's crazy and unbearable. And now Ranma is the one who is, subject to all this old guy's crazy whims and everything. It makes for a really good bit of comedy with, just the old dude perving out over Ranma and the whole thing about the bra and all that. And they did end up censoring this one, and that was a bit of a controversy on Twitter. Because in this part of the manga, the old guy is supposed to, be like trying to bury his face in everyone's tits, which, respectable. So instead of going around rubbing his face on like their back or on their leg or whatever, he's literally just trying to motorboat some boobs. And of course, you had people out there arguing that like it's better to censor it and not show things like first of all, this guy's supposed to kind of be an antagonist for Ranma to overcome. So why would it be a bad thing to have him doing bad stuff? Why would it be a bad thing for your protagonist to need to go and beat a guy who is, harassing women? If your complaint literally comes down to, if your like objection to it literally comes down to like, well, how dare they show that? That's fucking dumb. And that was like one of the big controversies. Maybe because they're underage. Yeah, but again, it's like you're depicting a bad guy. It doesn't really. There are far worse things out there that are done in a lot of manga for underage characters. If you're gonna complain about the fact that like the old guy is being a perv to underage girls, well, that's all the more reason you would want Ranma to beat the shit out of him, right? Like, he's not supposed to be a good person. He's supposed to be a nuisance pervert. It makes no sense. But we get into this whole thing with like the chi projection and all that, or like you have like the whole like wannabe kaiju battle that was about to happen. And then of course both the old men just collapse because they don't have the energy to do it. There were a lot of good comedy bits, like the master getting stuck in the teapot, the whole pretending to be a pig, and yeah, it was a very funny episode, very comedy heavy episode, and that's the kind of stuff that I have really enjoyed out of Ranma. It's just like this episode, I got a couple of good laughs out of it. So that takes us to Gachiakuta. All right, so Gachiakuta. This is going down in the very good category. And I have complicated feelings about this one. It didn't really give me the payoff that I was hoping for. Yeah, pretty much. Like, but that's just like the standard mentality of a lot of like anime fans these days. Is like all of a sudden you have to like be completely sterile. You can't show people doing objectively bad things ever, because then you're somehow going to encourage people to do bad things with your fiction and all that. It would be one thing if like Ranma was trying to push it as like a good thing that the pervy old guy is going after all the girls' boobies. But it doesn't really paint him as a good guy. Like I said, it paints him as a pervert nuisance. So him getting comeuppance is definitely on the table. But again, Gachiakuta. So I actually really liked Zanka's backstory in this one. I thought it was a pretty good development. But I'm still moving Gachiakuta down to the very good category because I was really hoping for Zanka to, fight through it and put up a good final fight and not like take Jabber out in the end. But no, that's not what we're fucking getting. It's just he's gonna, sit there and get dragged around. It felt like a very anticlimactic fight. Like one that was leading up to Zanka having a bit of a moment, and then he just doesn't get the chance. And that was kind of frustrating. Maybe there will be more of it, but we only have so many episodes to go before the end of the season. And I don't think that they're actually going to give him a shot at, redeeming himself in these fights. So that felt a little bit frustrating. However, I did think that the whole backstory for him was pretty good. I do like that. I still do enjoy this show, and this is probably, like, of the past couple of episodes, the one that I have enjoyed the most. However, like I said, it does feel like we have lost sight of, the whole revenge story that was the initial hook for Gachiakuta. And I feel like it has kind of suffered like that. It suffered because of that since the whole thing with Amo and all that. So in Gotcha, they did the creepy, pervy, bad guy thing super effectively without showing anything. Yeah. It seems well within the bounds of this world for them to use a little girl. I get that it will make a lot of people uncomfortable, and I'm not saying that it is like a good thing to go around doing. I'm just saying if you're going to complain about a bad guy doing bad things, your priorities are in a weird spot. And again, it's one of those things where there are stacking levels of nuance to how this goes, and because it is specifically fiction, I don't care if they are very explicit in showing bad guys doing bad things, especially if those bad guys get murderized later on for doing bad things. I think one of the things that played into Gachiakuta's. No, I'm just engaging with the conversation. I don't feel like there's any sort of like negative conversation going on here. I'm just engaging with it. Like in terms of like with Gachiakuta, what they did with Amo's backstory, it played into it very well, not showing it or at least depicting it the way they did, because it plays into Amo's perspective, which is what you're getting from that. Amo is basically retelling her story and all that. So I thought that worked out very well. But with Ranma and a half, it's like, okay, you're really so sensitive to this stuff that you're complaining about like some animated titties. Oh, I guess we'll get to that. Yeah, pretty much. Like it's a cartoon. You don't actually have people like physically participating in it like cuties. Where I keep going back to this one, but like it's just like a repulsive example that like I feel like never fails. Like this is like the worst thing you can possibly do in every possible way is cuties. But that being said, I understand why a lot of people might not enjoy Gachiakuta, but I still do like it. Like it does still have good episodes. It did hit a bit of a slump over the past couple, Even though I have still continued to enjoy it, I feel like this show has performed fairly well. It's just not one of those ones where I think it belongs all the way up there anymore. Given the whole of the series so far, I think it's very good, but maybe not a must watch. Uh, okay. And that takes us to Isekai Quartet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Isekai Quartet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So with Isekai Quartet, we find out that Kazuma is actually pretty effective at cooking. And we get the whole like spaghetti monster thing, and like there were plenty of good jokes. Like I was laughing a good bit at this whole thing with like everyone doing the whole cooking class and Wiz hanging from the ceiling and Vanyer like just being Vanyer. This is another comedy that I think does a really good job of using its characters, and it has a massive cast, but has done a really good job at using that cast. Oh yeah. Also, questioners, just so you know, if you want to put it, if you want to put an anime out there for the channel to vote on to make me watch next week, um, now's your chance to add your suggestion to the list. We have 3 so far. It's being a pain in the butt. Give me a second. It was Asobi Sobase. Trapped in a dating sim. And bookworm. Okay. My favorite joke in all of this episode of Isekai Quartet, though, was definitely the whole thing with like the cute noises being made while fighting. So there's one more entry for the poll, and it can literally be any anime that is under 36 episodes. It does not have to be current, but I would prefer if it was completed. Like it does not have to be current. I would prefer like if it wasn't something that like still had at like I am fumbling this speech check. All I have to say is it does not have to be current. It can be from like the 80s or whatever, so long as I have the ability to finish it within a week and also do my normal videos and streams and stuff like that. So 36 episode cap, please. Yori Aoshi. What is that? Okay, how many episodes does this have? Okay, that's not helping. 24 episodes. Okay. That's pretty doable. It's like a slice of life rom-com. All right. Yeah, it looked I saw the synopsis briefly. So, all right, I'll keep that on the list. And as people, decide that they have suggestions, again, to you lurkers or whoever are out there, in chat, you are perfectly welcome to, add your own suggestion into the list if you have an anime you want to try to subject me to. And if there are more than 4, currently we have 4 entries. We will spin to see which 4 entries end up on the list. But with that said, yeah, that's not. I love Darkness' reaction to the spaghetti monsters. Yes, Darkness's reaction to anything. Yes, but your suggestion wasn't an anime. I'm also not reviewing that live on stream, you fucking heathen. Okay. So yeah, Isekai Quartet was fun. There was no Sid Kageno this week, so that was interesting. Arceus, if you want to throw out a suggestion to be on this week's poll, that's fine. Grand Blue has officially won, so that's what I'm going to be watching this upcoming week. So Isekai Quartet has been good. Hopefully we can keep going. Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider is the next one on the list. So I am officially moving Tojima up to the must-watch category. Trapped in a Dating Sim is already on the list. Someone already suggested it. Just so you know. Well, actually, it's in the running. If you put in another suggestion, that would mean that there are 5 anime on the list, and then there's a chance that it doesn't actually end up on there. But yeah, right now what we have is Asobi Asobase, Trapped in a Dating Sim, Ascendance of a Bookworm, and Ai Yoriaushi. I'm not watching it live. Urusei Yatsura again. Okay. All right. So, like I said, Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider finally goes in the must-watch category. And this is one where, like, initially, I wasn't a huge fan of it. Like, the first episode, wasn't a huge fan. Second episode, all right, you know what? Let's do it. And then after that, it's just been consistently better and better and better, more and more funny, just like very entertaining stuff. And it's not even like it's just like the cringe humor of it. It also has some like really good hype moments, like in this latest episode where our main character Tojima just full on like winds up and decks the monster and sends him flying. I thought that was a really good moment. I thought that actually captured some really good hype. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. Just kind of lacking motivation a little bit lately, but getting back into the groove of things and trying to make sure everything's going all right. The sister this week was so damn good. Kamen Rider really is the dark horse of the season. This is one that like I am completely surprised that it is as good as it is. I almost didn't even check it out because I thought it was going to be, just like a throwaway entry for the season. No, it was actually really fucking good. So yeah, I think it's been really good, like comedy so far. So we got the whole resolution to the monster thing, where Tojima gets a hit in on Spider-Man, and then a bunch of people start showing up. So Spider-Man decides he's gonna run away and make sure that nobody finds out about the existence of Shocker. After that, of course, we have everyone going to the bar and all of that. And having the whole like wedding celebration / planning session. We get introduced to the middle sister who beats the shit out of her brother for constantly causing her trouble. And honestly, like she would fit right in with this crowd, even though she is in complete denial of it. And then at the very end, we get the Monster Fan versus Monster Man Rumble session right at the very end. And so the guy who was doing the Shocker robberies earlier is now fighting up against, the actual monster himself. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. All right. That brings us to campfire cooking in another world. Or campfire cooking with my absurd skill in another world. I forget what it is. But yeah, Tojima, now must watch. Campfire cooking. This show is one that, like, again, I think just kind of goes in like the top slot of this category. Um, it's very enjoyable. It doesn't really try to push like a huge important story or anything. It's really focused on like those sort of like episodic adventures and like the cooking stuff of it. This one we do get like the whole like dungeon episode, yes. They go all the way to the bottom of the dungeon and fight the last boss, and there's actually a decent bit of a fight that goes on there to where it isn't just Fell stomping an enemy. So I thought that was cool. um uh Makoto gets his hands on the magic sword and everything, and tucks it away in his inventory. So who knows what that's going to be doing later on in the story. And there's also the a lot of people becoming suspicious of him for having high grade potions and everything. I don't really need to talk too much about this one because like I say the same things all the time. It's just fun. It is a very enjoyable show. Like there's nothing else outside of it like that I really need to praise right now that hasn't been said already. So I will spare you the repeating comments and just say I like it. I have enjoyed it so far. It has not disappointed me whatsoever. Um so now we get the Alma wants to be a family. Um so we learn that ghosts are real in this world. Alma detects physical evidence of ghosts and everything. Um, and then of course she uses her AI processing to go help out a struggling mangaka to meet her deadlines and everything. So that was cute. And then of course we have the sister tag team journey to the moon, in which they end up saving an astronaut and collecting a couple of moon rock samples. All in all, like fun, endearing episodes. There was the whole thing where they're like hacking into old satellites and like just getting up to like generally like wacky stuff. I found the moon thing to be a little bit ridiculous, but I did ultimately enjoy the episode nonetheless. I thought it was fun. So I will keep it where it is. It's been a good one so far. In terms of animation, probably not like the greatest thing. In terms of story, probably not the greatest thing. In terms of satisfaction, though, like you get this like nice little like family slice of life series that also has, you know, the romantic subplot of like the two mad scientists who developed this ultimate weapon together. And yes, I do agree. I feel like the cast does need to stay relatively small for this one, and like this one would suffer from like overcrowding, just given the quality of the writing so far. But I like the gimmicks that it has gone for, especially like in like the ghost stuff. And then, you know, you had the whole like competing to see who can ride a bike faster. And I just gotta say that in order to ride the bikes off the planet, that's some insane physics that they got up to there. And then also to get to the moon and back inside of a day. Again, some pretty crazy physics going on there. These girls were moving fast. It's like the Keemstar. I'm fast as fuck, boy. uh, they literally did ghosts like 5 minutes before than CL. I don't know if I'm stroking out or something, but I don't know what you mean there. Um, Either way, it's a bit more on the ridiculous side. It's a bit more on the absurd side. I'll excuse it. Yeah, I enjoy it. I'm just saying that you're thinking too hard. Probably, yes. Probably. No, not probably, most definitely. I am most definitely thinking too hard about it. But that takes us to inexpressive Kashiwada and expressive Ota. So I like that this one is like neatly divided basically into 3 segments on each episode, because it makes things really easy to make notes on. So, we have the whole drawing thing in class that I thought was funny, where like they're, you know, trying to make each other laugh and all that. It's always just like the way Kashiwada reacts to a lot of things is very entertaining. And then after that, we get the whole snowball fight where Oda decides he's going to try and challenge Kashiwada to a snowball fight where like whoever gets covered in snow first loses. And then of course he's standing under the tree and she just throws a giant chunk of ice at the trunk of it. It's not going to be for everyone, but I would say when it comes to this show, I didn't really start to like it until like I don't know, halfway through episode 2 and more into episode 3. Like it was just kind of there for me in the first couple of episodes, and then like after a little while I enjoyed it much more. But again, it may just come down to the fact that I'm burned out on a lot of other things, and this is just kind of filling a niche that I'm not burned out on. That may be the case. This could be another thing where like you just don't enjoy it. I would say like if you're not into it by the end of the second episode, it's probably not worth your time. But in the latest episode, we do get the whole preschool flashback and everything, and we kind of learn that Kashiwada has had a long time admiration for the guy who's been picking on her. like we get the whole like flashback to like how she used to get excluded because people didn't know what she was thinking, and he was the one to sort of pull her along and get her to like actually like speak about her feelings, and get included in groups and everything. And she has the whole thing about like, I don't know if he'll remember this, but that's what I like about him. There was also the thing of like, why were they just letting this preschooler walk around with a frog the whole time? They were letting this kid walk around with a frog the whole time for whatever reason. But that's beside the point. Ultimately, she decided she was going to, thank him and everything, and then he moved away before she ever got the chance. So, like, to have that long-standing connection there, but he doesn't seem to remember it. Is the stereotypical trope. Enjoyable show, but by no means do I think it is something like particularly special. I enjoy it a lot. I get a good kick out of it when I watch it. It's one of the things that I actually do look forward to this season. So there's that. But that said, I should stop fidgeting. Put those aside. That takes us down to the interesting category. Okay, so A Star Brighter Than the Sun is getting into the territory to where it could go to the very good category if it does what it's going to do in the next if it does what it implies it's going to do in the next episode or so. So we have this whole thing where like the girls are gassing Iwata up to go and like confess to Kamishiro. So they have the whole exchange and they're doing things over text, and she accidentally sends the wrong text to the guy. So there was that. I'm kind of trying to remember what happens like in the interim, but I do know that she and Kamishiro both sort of make up or sort of like resolve themselves to confessing to their crush. So it looks like there is a chance we do get a confession out of this in the next episode, which would be really good because that would mean that this then actually has, a decent bit of progress to it that would make it a show worth watching. And now I'm normally not a stickler about progress and everything. I prefer character development and all that more. Like slow burn romances are a little bit more my thing, but with this one, like you're at the stage where I think like you're already at like the romantic stage where like you need to just confess your feelings. Otherwise it gets really obnoxious as you dance around each other. So I'm kind of hoping for the fact that this one is going to, just go for it and we're going to get something out of it rather than it just be, the whole feelings and emotion trip for nothing to happen at the very end. So with that one thing, this one could go into the very good category if it actually happens. My awkward senpai had an interesting episode this week because we got one of we got a new character who was introduced, the new girl who they then go to the festival with, that have that whole thing where she actually goes out to see the fireworks and everything, wears a yukata, gets really excited, and then has the whole exchange with the new girl about like being a bit too over enthusiastic about it. This one, the highlight of this latest episode is effectively the yukata stuff. So our main girl starts like going through all like the stereotypical stuff of like, oh, it's a festival, I gotta wear a yukata and everything. Wait, what happened? And then like there's the whole thing of like what happens if she was the only one to go, but it turns out there's the new girl going with her, and senpai just doesn't know how to put on a yukata or anything, and like in spite of trying and putting in an attempt for an hour or so, couldn't figure it out. I enjoy this show, but like I don't feel like we're ever going to get any progress out of this. This one doesn't inspire confidence that it's going to go anywhere in this season. So I kind of got to move this one down. Autistic Senpai not being able to follow the YouTube tutorial and then being told to watch a YouTube tutorial made the episode. Yeah, that was a good thing. That was a good element. I enjoyed that part of it. Like I said, the Yukata stuff is the highlight of it. But there are certain other elements to this. Like I said that like it doesn't inspire confidence that we're going to get anything out of it. And it would be one thing if we actually got some like good character development out of it, but this one hasn't really gotten into like showing what makes its characters tick to justify me passing up the progress for other good story elements. Right now, it has been almost solely focused on like that workplace romance element. And without that being fulfilled, I don't know if this is going to be a particularly outstanding thing. I will say though that I was talking with my brother earlier about the intro to this song or to this series, and I gotta say that I love the lyrics for the intro. I think the singer who does it is really good at singing. However, the instrumentals for this one suck ass. Like lyrics are great, the instrumentals are fucking mid as hell. Like the way it starts out, it sounds like one of the most bland, stereotypical romance anime intros you could get. But like once the singer starts going, like it gets better, and then you hit the chorus, and it's actually a good song. Which sucks. I really, really want to like it, but like the start of the start of this song just does not sound good to me. Okay. So that said, we have Hands Off Kotesashi. All right. So we'll keep this one short. I mean, we got bitch vice principal in this who is like riding up on this dude, basically like asking for a massage and everything. So she's being weird. Main guy, like he actually was able to get Swim Girl the win, and now she is having wet dreams of him. It was a crazy fucking episode, but again, this is one of the few that I actually respect because the main character has a little bit of a fucking spine. He isn't just being pushed around or anything. He's actually, he's got goals. He is oriented. He is focused. He is ready to fucking go. Unless you're talking about, the bed, then whatever the fuck, Why is anime so horny? I don't know, but I don't mind it. Talking about songs, have you listened to the intro, outro of Villainous One you have in the bad category? Some of the best songs this season to me. I have listened to him. I just kind of forgot about him because I was more so focused on this just being a terrible anime. Why is anime so horny? I don't know, and I don't mind. Honestly, anime being horny helps gatekeep a lot of fuckers from the whole genre or from the whole medium. All right. So now we get to Yano Kun's Ordinary Days. And this is why the stream is titled Homie Won the Game. So this one goes up to not there. To the very good category. Wasn't complaining. Just noticing a pattern. God damn it. Uh, so, in the latest episode of Yano Kun, he realizes that he has a thing for our main girl. And as soon as he realizes it, he is just straight up like, all right, I'm not fucking around. And goes straight for the confession. Like the moment he realizes he's in love with this chick, he straight up asks her out. So no song and dance, no bullshit. This one straight up is just like, hey, I like you. Yeah, I like you too. All right, I guess we're dating now. So it's straight up no nonsense. I'm really glad that they did that. I feel like it was, we got some good progression out of it. I've got a decent bit of comedy out of it. So based romance out of this one. That's really the big thing I remember about this episode because it wasn't something that I I dropped this one 2 weeks ago. I guess I should pick it back up. Yeah, and the best part is they do make a good joke out of the whole confession and everything because he does it in the middle of like class. So it's like right after they like class let out and everyone's like getting their books and everything together. He's having this casual conversation and everything, and he just straight up says like, "Yeah, I guess my type is Yoshida-san." Or I forget what her name is. He just like straight up says it in front of everyone. Everyone's just like flabbergasted. Can you imagine how awkward it's going to be if they attempt to smash? Well, I mean, Yano's parents managed it, and Yano gets his entire disposition and his bad luck from his father. So it's possible. Anyway, I liked it. I thought it was a good episode. I've enjoyed the comedy out of this one. And the characters somewhat. I don't think it does a good job of like really doing deep dives on the characters, but they are good enough to make it like a decent show, especially since it actually has satisfied the romance part of it. So, unlimited gotcha. Okay, so now we are at unlimited gotcha. Okay, so this one, predictable dark turn. I feel like that went exactly how I figured it was going to go. So fortunately for the mage girl, her and her brother seem like they're going to survive. But the big thing about this is effectively like Elf Boy gets detected. He is like the reject of like a squad of heroes and everything. People are fleeing the dungeon because there's an adventurer killer about. So like they really need to secure their specimens and everything. So they attack the party from that the light was traveling with. And well, the girl gets teleported, light delves into the dungeon and all that and goes to fucking confront the guy and just fucking beats the shit out of him right up until they say something about the maestro. So it looks like next episode we'll probably learn something about what this whole maestro business is. But I don't think that this one has done a particularly good job, especially since Arceus earlier showed me some of the dub for this. Like the English dub for this is pretty fucking cringe. Sure, but I was more so hoping for more of the revenge stuff. And I feel like this whole thing with the dungeon is just a sort of side quest that doesn't matter. Like it sets up the premise to be one thing, And now it has been like transitioned a little bit into something completely different. So I'm not super hooked on what's been going on lately. I feel like it's been a deviation from what made me really enjoy the show early on, and that's about it. The animation is actually, fairly good. Um it's just like it's very easy to see what's coming. I feel like you could have done this. Again, I'm not going to give it credit for that because you wouldn't have to do that if you had actually focused on the revenge part that this whole thing was sold on. I'm just saying. I still find it interesting. I'm still watching it. I haven't dropped it. It's just it's deviated from what I had hoped for. So that takes us to Sanda. Okay, so I liked the fight in Sanda, but I'm not enjoying this story whatsoever. It feels meh. Like the story just isn't what I was hoping for. The whole like Santa fighting a cyborg old man, that's the kind of craziness I had hoped would be like the regular for this. But they're so focused on like this saving the school, reforming the school, saving the kids, helping the kids kind of stuff that like it doesn't give me like the fun, ridiculous Santa stuff that like I kind of figured might be the case. Again, the Santa transformation this episode was cool. I liked the outfit and everything, and I liked the actual fight animation and all of that. And just like the ridiculousness of like Santa fighting this cyborg old man who is like holding kids hostage and everything. But I wish the premise was more so just like that sort of like chaotic adventure stuff rather than like this whole thing about like growing up and like being old and all that. Like, uh, I could care less. I could care less what this one does. If it continues on like this, I'll probably end up completely dropping it. Just sad because it was one of the ones I was looking forward to this season. So Spirit Hero Reincarnator. This is another one that's just kind of like I'm gonna put this one down in the okay category. Um, I do get some entertainment out of it because there are some like fun elements to it, but it's more so turning into like this strange drama laden series that just continues to like brutalize the uncle over and over again. Um my thoughts been thrown off completely. And I have not been drinking tonight, okay? I have not been drinking. I'm out of it for whatever reason. Okay, so we do the whole thing where like Ellen has her encounter with the prince and everything. We get a little bit of like the dark backstory to what's going on with the spirits and stuff. Like why the royal family cannot make contracts with the spirits and everything, why they're so shunned. And then we of course we have like, Ellen declaring war on the king and everything and like getting ready to just, fuck up his plans and all that. But the frustrating part about this latest episode was just the whole thing with the ant. Like, why can't our main guy, or why can't um Savel just have like a nice relationship and everything? Like, why did they have to be so like brutal on him in this one? Like, it just The guy deserves some fucking happiness, okay? And like that whole now the uncle had to shave and suddenly he's desirable. Maybe I should shave more regularly. It really depends. This one, I don't know. It's got to go down in the okay category for me because I'm not particularly like hooked on it. This may be the case too. It may just end up being a better binge than anything else. Oops. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to do that. And we will. There we go. We'll do that. And that. But yeah, it can suffer a little. It suffers a little bit in the writing department. It ain't like the most amazing thing out there, but it does have some small charms that make it at least acceptable to watch. Like I get a kick out of just like the family dynamic that they have going on there, like with the Spirit Queen, with the hero, and then of course our the reincarnated daughter and everything. Like that part I enjoy, and then of course every the grandparents fawning over Ellen. But by no means is this something that is particularly amazingly done. Dude, I must have missed something. Missed some Crimson lore here. Are you really a Roxy guy of all the girls in Mushoku Tensei? I'm not going to answer that question. I will leave that up to your imagination, okay? Because by the same token here, let's see. What do I got in here? I have this one. Hold on. I also have this one and this one. I got a lot of them in here. This, if you guys know where this is from. But this was from Friday. I was on someone else's stream and I was fucking around. So yeah, that's a thing. I guess since we're at it, we'll go with this. Turn the camera back on and exit solo layout. Okay. So that brings me to my friend's little sister has it in for me. Was that Anya? No, that was not Anya. That absolutely was not Anya. Okay. Where was I? I don't know why I had 2 entries for that anime in my notes, but I guess I just kind of fucking missed. My friend's little sister has it in for me. So I'm finally caught up on the last 2 episodes. So I got through the whole backstory and everything, and then of course I got through the latest episode where they have the confrontation with Mashiro's bullies and everything. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna pull this up because you want to be a fucking goob. That is not Anya. If you think that's Anya, you're fucking stupid. Okay, so now back to what we're doing here. Yeah, this one absolutely has gone up quite a bit in my opinion. I actually really, really loved um these last two episodes that we got out of this. We like the whole backstory. It's not from a Dojin, and if you guess where it's from, I will tell you. Um, but that's for you guys to figure out, and me to keep laughing as you make some fucking weird ass guesses. Let's just say this anime was highly controversial, or at least it should have been, because it was terribly uncensored. Um, where was I? So yeah, I liked the backstory for uh Iroha. I thought there was a lot of good stuff in that, but the latest episode, the one that came out this week, I thought was pretty good as well because we got all the stuff with Mashiro, so we get to see a little bit more of her character. There was the whole bully thing, and they did a good job of developing Iroha as a character because like she actually got into it defending Mashiro and all that and becoming friends with the girl, and so far it's been pretty good. Um and so far, like for me saying like I was expecting this to turn into some like terrible love triangle thing. I wanted to get around to them, but I didn't end up having time. It's just as simple as that. I wanted to talk about them tonight, but I didn't end up having time. But insofar as this goes, I've really liked the characterization of so far what are like few main characters. I think that with this sort of story, our main guy actually has some fucking backbone. And although he can get a little flustered and all that, um, it's ultimately he ultimately has like a spine enough to stand up for himself. He's a better main character in this sort of like love triangle situation than most main characters end up being. Um, Iroha dealing with the bullies was a really satisfying thing. I thought that was a pretty good moment for the anime. And ultimately, the episode ends with Mashiro straight up like confessing her feelings to the guy, at least over text anyway. She goes all out and just like, I love you. I love you more than anything in the world. So damn, they're really getting into this. So that one moved way up in my opinion. This week. It did a really good job capturing with personalities. Insofar as um Jeremy is talking here, I agree. The redheaded girl is the best. How many more we got? We got a few more. I believe that wraps up the interesting column or category. And now we can go to the okay. So, past the monster meat. I feel like this one has got to go in the binge list, to be entirely honest. Like, I would consider, I don't want to watch this one because the cooking stuff kind of fucking sucks in this anime. But the romance is all right. And I feel like this would probably be a much better binge than watching weekly, because sometimes you get episodes that are satisfying. Other times you get episodes that are all just them eating random fish monsters and like deep frying them for an entire fucking episode. It lacks any sort of like storytelling that would distinguish it, especially as it falls into a similar category as some really good anime from last season. So it ultimately just feels like it lives in the shadow of better entries in this genre. It doesn't make a significant attempt to distinguish itself in any sort of skillful way. Sure, there are some surface level, there are some like, creative liberties taken with the formula and everything. There are some certain ideas that are new to this series, but those ideas alone aren't enough. I'm specifically talking like this show needed some sort of good writing tactic in order to actually make it stand out more. But I didn't find it in this one. Sure, you have the potential for like a good romance and everything, but it's constantly interrupted by this whole like cooking monsters stuff that I just don't care for. I don't want to watch it anymore, but I would consider rewatching it later on. Effectively, this, yes. It falls short of Betrothed to My Sister's Ex from last season, and it's not a good cooking anime. So it just kind of like falls into the and could have been better category. That brings us to Chitose is in a ramune bottle. And I actually liked this latest episode of Chitose is in a ramune bottle. I feel like the characterization there got better. There was some more interesting stuff going on. So, like, we have the whole fake boyfriend thing going on with this, and the girl who has her like stalkers following her around and all that. The confrontation that went on between the three stalker dudes from the other school and Chitose. And it looks like we're going to be getting into some like weird sort of some interesting events with this whole upcoming arc. And what it feels like is it's just going to be Chitose, what this show feels like, I should say, is just Chitose doing like good things for people because that's the kind of life he feels like he has to lead. I checked this one out because of you and really like this one. Surprisingly wholesome while having some fun, dirty jokes. I just like bummed out about Monster Meat, but I was looking forward to it. But it's just all right. Yeah. As far as Chitose goes, I just like that like he's this dude who's out here helping people like live better lives for themselves. And I kind of hope that trend of just like him doing good stuff for people continues on. I feel like you do have the potential to have some like darker stuff with his character later on, like how he like him feeling trapped and everything just by this life that like everyone expects out of him. Um but I've enjoyed it much more as it's gone on. I feel like I'm starting to get the hang of where this whole series is going, what it's supposed to be about. So I'm getting into it. I'm liking it more. Although it's going to be interesting because it does seem like it's going to be setting up a big confrontation here in the future. So I'm curious to see how they're going to handle that. I also skipped one, which is a wild last boss appears. So we got some Lufus backstory with this one. Come on, there we go. I want to move that up to there. And it looks like it's setting up for like a whole major conflict here in this latest episode. I love a love quadrangle. Jeremy. That's called a square. So with this one, I don't want to promote I don't want to promote it too much because its story is still kind of a bit sloppy in how it handles things. But I liked the backstory that they gave to Lufus. I like the way that they're setting up this major conflict in this. Um, so who knows what's going to be coming by the end of the season, but it looks like we'll at least have like a decently entertaining fantasy series, even though it doesn't have like the most incredible storytelling prowess. That's effectively what I have to say about it is like you have a good idea going, you have some good stuff in it. Like bullying Dina is always funny. But I haven't really found anything that really makes me think that this one goes beyond just being interesting. Do we know how many episodes of this we're getting now? That's a good question. So a wild last boss appears. I don't think it has an episode count yet. But it looks like Libra is going to have her own fight and Ares is going to have his own fight. So I'm curious to see how this whole conflict is going to pan out, especially with all of the discrimination with the winged people. There was some interesting lore dropped about their whole civilization and about how like they feel guilty for betraying Lufus and everything, but it's becoming more and more clear to our main character that this is not the same world that the game was based on. So I feel like that one's done a pretty good job. If this one gets 2 cores like Shangri-La got for the first season, that'll help a ton. Perhaps. I feel like this is one that I would probably watch for 2 cores. But I still don't think that right now that it transcends just being interesting. It really hasn't hooked me up. Hooked me in, I should say. But continuing down the line, we only got 3 more anime left here. So my status as an assassin clearly exceeds the hero. This is another one where like the idea of it is good, but the execution of it is horrible. This one could clearly have benefited from slowing down a little bit and just like focusing on building up a lot of like the character moments that it wants to have. And it would work on someone who is like a casual consumer of all of this, but once you've seen the kind of stuff done, You know how it's done well, and you know how it's done poorly. And with Assassin, this is one where like the romance part of it is done kind of poorly. Like they don't give us a solid reason as to why Akira would really like feel the way he does about Amelia. They don't give us a good build up to Amelia wanting to learn to fight so that she can fight alongside Akira. We don't get really good build up for, Yoru's guilt over everything she did under the reign of the Demon King. And like the blacksmith's sister getting bodied, like it was done in such a cartoonishly evil way that I almost didn't even fucking care. It was like it doesn't do a good job of trying to set off what would otherwise be good payoff. Like it has an idea as to how to like make good characters. It just doesn't have a good idea as to how to execute those ideas. Again, I go back to the whole sister thing. Like you probably could have done better with that if it hadn't been such a cartoonishly evil way for her to go out. And that would have actually been like a good character arc of like, Amelia trying to convince this blacksmith to teach her to fight and all of that. And again, you could have done more in the Elven Kingdom to support the whole thing with Amelia and her sister and set up more of the romantic interactions between Akira and Amelia. But no, it just comes about whenever the plot seems to demand it. And that is a product of just this series rushing through a bunch of stuff. Like we have gone through a couple of multi-episode arcs, it feels like, in like a single episode each. It ends up being a very like unsatisfying experience to me. Which really shouldn't be the case. Because like I said, it has the potential. It understands some of the basics of writing. But it does them in a very terrible way. And it doesn't matter whether you have the best waifu or not. It's not for me. Animation, cool. It's good. Storytelling, it could have been better, but its execution sucks ass. And I no longer want to waste my time watching it, even though it does have a dub and then there is nothing going on that day. I could easily spend my time watching other anime. Hell, I might even consider catching up on Tales of Wedding Rings just because I'm dropping so many anime and I feel like at this point I might as well give it a fucking second chance. I think I would rather do that than continue watching My Status as an Assassin. And now I was originally, I'm really conflicted about this next one because on one hand, I really want to drop One Punch Man. On one hand, I really, really, really want to drop One Punch Man because the bad animation robs this show of so much entertainment value. And I'm not talking about like the fight scenes. I'm talking about all of like the comedy scenes, all of the things that made this show fun to watch feel so robbed by the terrible animation. But now there are rumors circulating about how the next episode is going to be absolutely amazing. So I think I'm nominally going to put this one in the bad category. And I'll watch one more episode. And if, this is just a bunch of people coping over, the animation of this series, it's done. I won't be talking about it next week. If I'm wrong, though, it'll go back on the list. It's so bland in the way it's animated. I don't think people understand this. One Punch Man's story isn't all that like fantastic. It's workable for a series that is able to execute action and comedy well. Those are the things that One Punch Man does well. Action and comedy. And if you can't do those two things well, like you can't treat those things well with some good animation or play it all or like, animate those gags well, because a lot of those like little like design choices and stuff like that, those matter when it comes to comedy. They make so much impact and can like change in like the entire feel of a scene if you animate it properly. But the way One Punch Man is done does not do that. And it robs the show of so much joy, so much fun. It robs it of like all of like the good like humor it had. It robs it of like any sort of epic action it would have. It doesn't. It robs it of any sort of like sense of rising tension. You would genuinely get a better experience off of reading the manga for this, because the manga at least is able to capture all of those moments well in that form. It's able to actually capture a lot of the humor and the action and the intensity of it well. The anime doesn't do a good job of presenting those things in animated format. It's crazy that I suffer so much watching One Punch Man, because like I shouldn't. That shouldn't be an anime that I sit there thinking thank God it's over. And with that said, I'm actually going to skip this last one because I feel like I am the only person who watches this one. And really, I only watch it for one reason. So I will basically be saying the same thing over and over again. So I don't need to recap that. So with that said, this is where our list ends tonight. Sorry if I seemed a little out of it tonight, or if I felt that I seemed a little spacey. Which one? Little Miss Vampire Can't Suck Properly. That's the one that it's kind of like City from last season, where like I was the only one watching it, so I don't really have a lot of commentary to do on it. So like I enjoy like the cutesy comedy stuff that it does with like the chibi vampire and all that, but that's really the only reason I watch it, is because I get a kick out of that stuff. Otherwise, it is kind of a shit series. But that said, it is time for us to make up our poll. I don't want to do an image poll. I want to do a text poll. So I am going to enter all of the items that we had on the list into a randomizer here. And then, so it was Asobi, Asobase, trapped in a dating sim, bookworm, Yori Hoshi, and Urusai Yatsuda. All right. So the first entry on the list, I will, make myself big so everyone can see this here, is Trapped in a Dating Sim. Second option on the list, Arceus Rules with Urusei Yatsura. And third option, Ascendance of a Bookworm. So Muffler Tapes entry goes on there. And the final option for the night is the questioners, Ai Yori Aoshi. So with that said, that will be our poll. So the entries for this week. What in the fuck? Why is it advertising me horny apps? Okay. I mean, I am horny, but I don't need the apps, okay? So here we go. Our poll. This is what we are looking at for the upcoming week. These are your options, guys. Much appreciated that everyone would tune in and listen to this. Thank you, guys. Again, sorry if I sounded out of it. My brain's a little frazzled today, and it didn't require any alcohol to do it. I am just a little bit out of it. I was not as smooth tonight as I normally am, but you can't do it 100% of the time, okay? Again, though, I appreciate you guys. Look forward to a couple, more videos and stuff that are going to be coming out this upcoming week. Going to get back into it and try to be, much more regular on the stuff that I put out. And I guess I got to get on some more SAO stuff. So see you Monday on the Biggles Breakdown, if that's what Biggles is doing. I don't know exactly what's going on for him. I know he's got moving and stuff that he's up to. So y'all have a good night. I'm going to shut down and probably relax for the rest of it. I also got Grand Blue to watch. Okay. Later.
Oh,